all this happening? Well, whether it's real or not, I quote world leaders, I quote top transhumanists, I quote top globalists, I quote the United Nations in my oft-quoted film, End Game, like the end of a chess game. End Game, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, free on YouTube. You can buy the DVD if you want to support us and have an archived copy and show friends and family, or rent out a local theater and show it. You have my authorization, get it on Access TV, whatever. End Game, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. And in the film, we end it explaining they're going to cut off everybody's resources, consolidate power, shut down manufacturing, where you can only get corporate elite jobs or government jobs, and then or be on welfare. Then they can social engineer you once they have control over you through that. Now that's their statements, not mine. Everything I said decades ago doesn't just come true because I have a Palantir crystal ball. I'm telling you what they said they do. Zbigniew Brzezinski wrote a best-selling book in the 70s admitting they ship in the narcotics to America and launder the money and run it all. Now they admit all that. But, I mean, that was written the year I was born 42 years ago. I just tell you what they openly admit. Now, the reason I say that is now it's finally in mainstream news today. London Guardian, artificial intelligence, Homo sapiens will be split into a handful of gods and the rest of us. And the rest of us will die. And as I've said many times with the globalist, it's like the Ghostbusters Part 1 where she says, "Are you a god?" And they say no, and she goes, "Then die." You want to understand everything. The elite are very close to life extension technology, taking them so far into the future, 150 years old, 200 years, within a decade. They may already have the science. They're suppressing a lot of medical developments. I've been told this by top billionaires. It's leaked in the news. We're not in Kansas anymore, okay? Are they going to give 7.5 billion people that? No. And a lot of elitist wannabes and yuppies go, well, we shouldn't. You know, there's too many people. But you're not going to get it. You're not part of the global elite either. Do you understand that, dumbass? You're drinking fluoride. You're eating GMO. You're getting deadly vaccines pushed on you. Stop thinking you're elitist because you went to a university and bought into hating fellow humanity. We got to develop new technologies. We do have to industrialize countries. We can slow birth rates. I personally think we are overpopulated in some areas. Because if you have 7, 8 kids, yeah, then you got to have 7, 8 kids to support that. You need to have about 3 kids, okay? I've looked at all the actuaries. I've had all the top experts on because some die of disease, car wrecks, whatever. Some don't have kids. You got to replace the 2 people that are there. Because we'll have a new dark ages in war if there's not enough people to support the old. And all the sociological anthropology numbers show that too. We've got to export people to space. We've got to export people to bad climates who want to go there. There's so many things we can do, but that's not being done. The decision's been done to set up a totalitarian world government, move everything over to robots to make humans obsolete. The elites will all go be on armored reservations while we're all basically soft-killed. Now, Alex Jones has been saying that for about 18 years. I didn't know about this my first 3 years on air. But now the Guardian says it in a big old thick 7-page article. You might want to go read it. And the reason they're getting into all this now is because the decisions have been made to do this. But getting into this article out of the London Guardian, this is the exact stuff I read from the United Nations and Ray Kurzweil and Google and all of them, you know, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago. And this is their religion. It's their game plan. It's what they've adopted. It's where they're going. And they can rationalize that they're going to keep all the technology and power for themselves because they're the saviors of the planet. And because they got in control, it's social Darwinism, they deserve to be in control. They deserve to run this operation because the fact that they're in control is prima facie, or on its face, that they are the heir apparents to the world. Well, here's the deal. I want to try to warn the public. I want them to know what's going on. I want to try to build some alternative debates about the future of humanity because there's not even an intellectual discussion in the general public about the fact that the decision's been made to bring in world government and exterminate most of the population. Artificial intelligence, Homo sapiens, will be split into a handful of gods and the rest of us. How many times have I told you the elite want to become gods? And they've had the New York Times and others make jokes about it. A new report suggests that the marriage of AI and robotics could replace so many jobs that the era of mass employment could come to an end. Oh, it's suggested? Is that why Bill Joy 16 years ago wrote Why the Future Doesn't Need Us and said he went to a conference with 200 top tech owners and billionaires, and the consensus was, we're not just going to let humans sit around and play video games all day. We're going to let them play video games while we build the robot takeover. We're going to basically bioweapon you and get rid of you. Oh, it's not scary to have world leaders talking about how they're going to kill everybody. Let's just make fun of Alex Jones and have Bill Maher make a joke about it. But you might not end up being reassured. If you wanted relief from stories about tire factories and steel plants closing, you could try relaxing with a new 300-page report from Bank of America Merrill Lynch, which looks at the likely effects of robot revolution. But you might not end up being reassured, though it promises robot carriers for an aging population. It also forecasts huge numbers of jobs being wiped out, of 35% of all workers in the UK, unless we demand tires that say human-made. See, nobody's got, this is like the big revolution, free trade, fair trade, all these cultural movements. I've meant for over 15 years to start a foundation, and I've said this, that's like a pro-human development foundation that's not against robots, but is about humans voting with their dollars while we still have that vote, to support not just stuff not made in slave factories, but to buy stuff not made by pure robots, owned by globalist companies who are part of the massive conspiracy to have the robots first get in charge of manufacturing and farming and communications until we're checkmated and have to give in to the elite's demands because they're allied with the AI system. And whether you think that's coming or not, that's the plan the elites say they're going for. It's so incredible that we're alive watching all this happen, and I can't even get the average yuppie to stop watching a UT football game.
Now, you all know me, so I'll just say this as simple as I can. If it's our time to die, it's our time. All I ask is, if we have to give these bastards our lives, we give them hell before we do!